Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ben Oldak with here my co-host Kathy Leggett. Kathy, back in the studio after an extended time off.
That's right. I am doing well, and I'm so glad to be back. And I'm thankful to all my fans who contacted Ben and wondered where I was.
Yeah. Thousands of
That's
of
right.
letters.
I'm sure they poured in. Thanks for your concern. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, with us today is the new program manager of HomeBase Iowa, Harrison Swift. Yep. He comes from us from Colorado, but is an Iowa native himself.
That's right.
Correct. Harrison, welcome to the show.
Hey, and welcome back to Iowa. We're always glad to have people come back to Iowa.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be back. I'm excited.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your background. You obviously have some military experience, and then, now you're over in the civilian world.
Yeah, so I actually was born and raised here in Des Moines. I grew up in Mingo, Iowa, went to Colfax Mingo High School. Eventually joined the Marine Corps. I served from 2010 to 2011 as an infantryman there. Did one deployment to Afghanistan. Got out in 2014. Me and my wife decided we were going to move to Colorado. So we moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, which is in the northern part of that state. And then we were there for about 8 years. Eventually, we did move to Greeley, Colorado, where I started up a Northern Colorado Veteran Resource Center, a nonprofit there. So did that for quite a few years. And then eventually we made our way back here to Iowa. And then I got lucky and found myself into this position here to be working for HomeBase Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome again back to the home state. What was kind of the role that you had over in the nonprofit before you came over here? Yeah,
so at the very beginning, it was really so when I was going in my undergraduate degree, I actually did some research on the different variables that were impacting veterans and the suicide rate. And so what I kind of learned there was a lot of it had to do with perceived stress, purpose, autonomy at work, those types of things. So I used some of that information that I had to that information and also my experience on how to best serve and support our veterans that were exiting the military. And so that was that first piece was creating it. And then after that, it was kind of the director roles where I was at. So it was kind of implementing, figuring out who was going to be the right fit for certain positions, and then what type of services we were going to be providing veterans. And the type of services we provided there was just wraparound services. We helped with employment, getting people off the streets, getting them into a house, getting access to food, transportation services, pretty much you name it, we helped it with that there.
That's great work. And I think it's really a great perspective that you can bring to Iowa workforce development and the work that you're going to do with HomeBase Iowa. And so I have other questions I want to ask you about that, but I also want to transition into HomeBase Iowa. What is your role going to be and what's happening with HomeBase Iowa right now? And talk to, maybe the larger audience who aren't as familiar with HomeBase Iowa about what that program is.
Yeah, so right now, the vision for HomeBase Iowa is to make Iowa the state of choice for veterans and its service members. And I guess the first, so this is I'm pretty new still to this position, so I'm still trying to figure everything out. But right now, our first kind of priorities are going to be to revitalize our community collaboration and then also our employer designation criteria. So we're going to start working with our communities closely and then also going out, talking with employers, and then making sure that we have some good support that we can provide them to educate them on the benefits of hiring veterans and then how to also work with veterans through different trials and tribulations they might face after they get out.
Yeah. How important is it to have that kind of community buy-in when it comes to creating a place for veterans to thrive?
Community buy-in is extremely important. I believe if you don't have the support of the community, you're not going to get very far. So we need to have 100% community buy-in, and we need to have the community really understand what's going on with us, what we're doing. So really keeping in constant contact with them, collaborating with them, getting their feedback, and making changes that they recommend if it's something that's going to actually positively impact our veterans, our service members' lives, and make them, be able to find their path to success, which is the number one goal for us, is to help veterans become successful after they get out and find a place that they can live, be happy, have the support systems in place they need, find that camaraderie again, and then continue living a purposeful life.
Yeah. What does the buy-in mean for a community? When we say community buy-in, what does that entail?
I guess you could say it's really believing in the mission and understanding the mission. So they need to, we need the community to first, understand what the mission is and then believe in it and then support it, and support can look, different in a lot of different ways. But yeah, it's just really getting them to understand what it is we're doing, what our goals are, what our mission is, and then having them also provide support to us too, so that we can really attract veterans to be moving to Iowa.
Right. I think that veterans have so many great qualities to offer an employer, but as you kind of allude to, that buy-in is important, and maybe some understanding of how to make that work for the veteran who may have a little different perspective than somebody they're hiring who's always been in civilian life. So, can you talk about, like, from an employer, like employers, what are some of the things maybe they need to know or they need to consider when they're tapping into this population?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So I guess like the very first thing would be, there's a lot of different misconceptions out there about veterans when you're hiring them on. A few that I've run into in the past when I've been interviewing at different positions I wanted to have, was there's some stereotypes out there about veterans and them being unable to think on their own without having direct orders. That's false. Veterans can definitely think out of the box. They can do things on their own. They can make decisions on their own. I mean, that's one of the core values that I was taught when I was serving in the Marine Corps, was decisiveness. And so they're able to make those decisions, quickly, and they're usually the right decision. And then, there's also the other stereotype that when a veteran's getting out of the military, they're going to have some mental health issues, right? Which could be true. However, for the most part, they're not bringing that into the workplace. They're working on that at home. But it is important for an employer to be aware of that, because there's going to be times where they're going to need to be working through some different issues that they might be facing, and that might require them going to the VA and, go into a doctor's appointment there, and that might be during the day. So, kind of providing that freedom or flexibility so that they can get to those appointments and take care of themselves, because that's extremely important.
Very important.
One thing that I know from talking to other people that have been in Home-Based Iowa or of those staff here that work with veterans is that one of the things that veterans can struggle with coming out of the service is how to translate their military experience over to, terminology and examples for the civilian world. Is that something that you've seen as well?
Oh, yeah. I did the same thing. I mean, my resume when I first got out did not transfer at all to civilian language. And that's one great thing that we do here at Home-Based Iowa is we actually have career planners that will come in, they'll work with a veteran or a service member and translate their skills from military jargon to civilian jargon, which then that employer will understand and be able to appreciate the experience and the skills that veteran has, and then hopefully hire them on.
Yeah. Now, for employers that maybe they get a resume in front of them that's clearly from a veteran and maybe some of those skills are still in military jargon, what's something that an employer can do to not, toss that resume aside because they don't understand it? To give the veteran an opportunity to come in and kind of explain some of those things. Yeah,
they could, just bring the veteran in, let them explain it, kind of ask more questions. Or let's say they're, looking at a resume and they have our information, they can reach out to us, and then we'll walk that employer through that resume and kind of explain some of the terms and the different military jargon that those veterans have on there.
Yeah.
That is great. So now tell us again, how long have you been in your new position here at Iowa Workforce?
I believe this will be my 4th week.
Okay, great,
so new.
That's great. We love new perspectives too. It's always good, I think, to get somebody into a program that maybe has been going on, and you bring some new thoughts and life into that. And what then are the next things you're specifically going to be working on?
Yeah. So the very first thing that I'd like to do is really get out there and start meeting with our community partners again, kind of get an idea of what's going on, get their feedback on the program, and just see what their thoughts are and see if they have any ideas on things that we could be doing differently, So really it's going out there. That's going to be my very first priority, is getting out into the community, meeting with those community leaders and asking what can we be doing differently, or what should we continue doing to serve your communities and get veterans to want to live in your city or county.
Can you talk back about I know we have the Home-Based Iowa communities, but we also have the employer designation, I think is what you said. Can you just refresh us a little bit on that, what that is? And
so what that is, our employer designation is when we have an employer become a HBI employer, basically they got to meet some different criterias that we're working on right now, and that'll be official here very soon.
Okay.
And we'll be sharing that with everyone. But really, it's a way for employers to become educated on veterans and service members and what to kind of expect to look for. And then also they can work with us in giving us their job openings, and then we can connect those veterans or service members with those open jobs pretty quickly, which is a great little pipeline for the employers and our.
That's what I was going to say for both. That's great for both. So maybe down the road, not too far, we'll have you back on, Harrison, and you can talk specifically about what employers need to do to get that designation and help us get the word out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it's not just about the veterans themselves; it's also about their family members as well. So talk a little bit about that and how important it is to have those kind of positions open for the veteran family members as well. Yeah,
that's the other cool part is like we also work with spouses. So a spouse could come into our program and we'll help them get hired on at some HBI employee or designated employer. So really the spouses are obviously they were serving just as well as their spouse that was in the military. So they have all the same traits as a veteran. So they're a great person to bring on. And we really love working with them. So that's another part of the program.
So another great talent pool, I think, for employers to open their doors to and look to is our veterans, and to connect with Homebase Iowa and the other services that we have here that benefit everyone involved. I think another piece that I just wanted to touch on is you said purpose and mission, and I think those are such key pieces of certainly veterans and your military service, but work provides purpose for all kinds of people. And so I think, everything we can do in Iowa, working together to get employment opportunities for individuals is important and no different in this population as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if we can start helping veterans find their sense of purpose again right when they get out, we would be avoiding a lot of the tragedies that we're seeing today when it comes to the suicide rate or just the risky behavior that some veterans are doing and then unfortunately losing their lives over. I mean, I had to deal with that when I first got out. It was one veteran or one Marine every other month from my unit the very first year I was out died either by suicide or I call it risky behavior. Sure. But if they had their sense of purpose, they had that sense of camaraderie or that social support around them, I think things could have been a lot differently. So that's why I'm so excited about this position, because we can help provide that here.
We can
make Iowa that place. We can have
absolutely
the support, the camaraderie, and we can help them find that purpose again.
Because that's a huge change from military to civilian life, where you spend your whole time with a group of people and you get to know them all, and then all of a sudden you're out, and now you kind of have to decide, okay, where do I want to live? How do I make new friends? All those kinds of things. That's jarring.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I struggled through it, but if there's any veterans or service members listening, just know you're going to struggle through it. But we are here to help out. So at any time, if you're going through that struggle and you don't know exactly what you should be doing, or you don't know who the heck should I call, just call us.
Yes.
And we will figure out a way to get you. If we're not able to provide you that support or that guidance, we'll find a place to connect you with so that you can find that support and guidance that you need. So please just reach out to us and we will help.
Yeah. Now, since we're on that topic, what's the best way to reach out?
Okay. So the best way to get a hold of us would just be to give us a call here on my office number, and that number is 515-725-1057. And again, that number is 515-725-1057.
Perfect. Good stuff for
absolutely
anyone to know, but,
yes.
Especially veterans who are in need of some support.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Well, Harrison, thank you so much for swinging by. Great to meet you formally for the first time.
Yeah.
And happy to have you here in Iowa and working with Homebase Iowa.
Yeah, I'm excited. And thank you guys for having me. I really look forward to it. And like I said, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, if we can be of help at all.
Yep, anytime. And I just want to say again, we have employers all across the state who can help create that mission and purpose and give our veterans coming back it from get-go, from the start. So let's do it.